Welcome to MojoPlays, and some of these storylines have been going for longer than some of our staff have been alive. Not me personally, but most everyone else. For this list, we'll be clocking the longest consistent narratives in gaming from their first release up to their most recent, even if the series is still ongoing.
Sure you wouldn't rather take a seat?
We'll be fine.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Assassin's Creed.
You kidnapped me! You strapped me into that thing!
Animus. It's an animus.
I don't even know you people! Why are you doing this to me?
No one could have predicted that a series based on real historical events, people, and locations would become one of the biggest hits in Ubisoft's library, and not only become the template for their other series going forward, but also be an ongoing series that has endured for over 20 years, all with one consistent storyline of assassins versus Templars shaping the history of events from damn near the beginning of civilization itself. The Assassin's Creed series has been revolutionary for its parkour traversal and inventive stealth mechanics, and for better or worse, has continued the modern day storyline established in the original game back in 2007, with the player reliving memories to stop a modern day catastrophe. The series has only become increasingly experimental and outlandish, even incorporating mythical creatures into the mix, but throughout it all, the series has continued the narrative first begun back in 2007 with Desmond Miles and the Animus.
We are the shadows.
That served the light.
Ace Attorney. The Ace Attorney series has earned a devoted fan base and reputation for its over-the-top courtroom cases and memorable characters. But what many outsiders don't realize is that despite the numerous spin-offs and crossover titles, there have only been 6 mainline entries in the series, and all those titles are canonically connected. The investigative gameplay, as well as Phoenix Wright's iconic slicked-back hair, has made the franchise instantly recognizable, and many once inconsequential characters had developed long-standing and ongoing story arcs within the universe. These connections to numerous characters have endeared these once two-dimensional archetypes into fan favorites, some with their own spin-off games. And each entry brings new intrigue as conspiracies deepen and huge revelations are revealed. This is the video game equivalent of an interactive soap opera with enough twists to have even the most casual fans screaming, "Objection!" Mega Man. Not only has Mega Man been battling Dr. Wily and his mechanized creations since the NES, Mega Man also has an impressive catalog of games with over 130 releases, including mainline games and spin-offs. However, despite all these additional storylines, some with their own impressively long narratives such as the X series, surprisingly, there have only been 11 mainline titles in the Mega Man canon. Although the storyline of Mega Man is relatively bare bones, the series has added new and beloved characters such as Mega Man's Robo-Dog, Rush. The core of the series, however, has always been the constant battle between the Blue Bomber and Dr. Wily, with Mega Man always managing to take down the evil Doctor's robot masters. Much of Mega Man's world and storylines are fleshed out more in his spin-off titles and series, but the overarching narrative of the franchise was born back in 1987 and continues some 3 decades later.
Catch you on the rebound!
Kingdom Hearts.
What a dream. Ah! This isn't a dream!
Although the story of Kingdom Hearts has become convoluted enough that it's basically a joke at this point, throughout the 3 mainline games and its numerous spin-offs, each entry has fed into the overall narrative that began way back in 2002 when Sora first met Donald and Goofy. Many of the spin-off titles fill in the backstories of side characters and their motivations as they become major players later in the series, which can make it confusing for those who have only ever played the 3 main numbered entries, but the games do a decent job of keeping players up to date with the events in between the games and how they all tie into the complete storyline. The tale of the Heartless, Organization 13, and all the Disney worlds the heroes are trying to save can be truly engaging, provided you can keep up with the increasingly convoluted narrative tying it all together.
Well, gee, think of all you've seen. All the feelings you've felt. Why, you've done years of growing in almost no time at all.
Mortal Kombat.
Sub-Zero.
In the early days of the fighting game genre, storylines were nothing more involved than a group of characters coming together to battle it out in a tournament. However, over the years, Ed Boon and his team at NetherRealm have fleshed out not only the characters, but the story of the Mortal Kombat tournament. Although the franchise has seen numerous reboots over the years, including the recently aptly titled Mortal Kombat 1, Boon has always managed to incorporate these refreshes into the long-running storyline in a way that, while sometimes confusing, doesn't disregard the games that came before, and instead uses them as a launching point to rewrite established characters and lore under the guise of a new realm and a new tournament. Admittedly, the means to which he has rewritten the history has sometimes bordered on the ridiculous, but it's nonetheless an inventive way to honor the past while looking to the future.
This was fantastic, thank you. Oh, just like the old days.
Halo.
Relax. I'd rather not piss this thing off.
Demon.
Not only does Halo have one of the longest continual narratives in gaming, but it might also have one of the largest pieces of backstory lore that takes place before the first game even begins, with much of the timeline beginning over 100,000 years before Master Chief donned his iconic armor. Throughout the numerous games, Chief uncovers the origins of the Precursors, the Forerunners, and the Flood, all while dealing with the constant threat of the Covenant and the discovery of the galaxy-ending Halo rings. While much of this lore is told outside of the games themselves, the one constant of the Halo series is the Master Chief, outside of Reach and ODST anyways, and his constant struggles to save the galaxy and humanity. Even after Bungie left the franchise behind, 343 continued the Chief's story, introducing new lore to the universe and continuing to expand on the world of Halo.
Do you see what I see? So much potential.
Tekken.
You win.
While all the games on our list have impressive tenures with their ongoing storylines, only Tekken holds the Guinness Book of World Records for longest cohesive storyline in gaming. First released in arcades back in 1994, Tekken had only the most basic of plots driving the game forward, told only through text and static images. With each subsequent entry into the fighting juggernaut, the story continues to evolve, with some characters being permanently killed off, some getting married, and all with their own lives, ambitions, and motivations throughout the series. This is especially impressive considering the Tekken series has never seen a reboot of any kind, so die-hard fans are able to follow their favorite characters all the way from the first entry up to the most recent release without having to worry about any of their backstories or origins changing from one title to the next.
Not over. Yeah.
Resident Evil.
Wait! Don't shoot!
Get down.
What originally started off as a simple zombie horror game has exploded into one of the biggest franchises in all of gaming. Starting with the discovery of the Spencer Mansion, the series has exploded into massive pharmaceutical and government cover-ups, insane mutations, and shocking double crosses and character revelations from a series that began with essentially a haunted house. Beloved characters have received standalone titles alongside team-ups, and the scale and scope of the storyline has led to a convoluted timeline, with many debating how many of the spin-offs are considered canon. However, since 1996, many of the major players have consistently been involved with the mainline and occasionally spin-off games that thankfully in recent years has become a lot more streamlined, although the remakes seem to have rewritten some of the history, resulting in what many consider an almost separate timeline of events from the original series of games.
Oh, you're not local. Even better.
Metal Gear.
War has changed. Our time has ended. Our war is over.
Hideo Kojima's magnum opus that not only established him as one of the greatest auteurs in the industry, but also birthed the stealth genre, the Metal Gear series has one of the longest and most comprehensive narratives in all of gaming. Told out of sequential order, the story of Big Boss's origins and his eventual fall from grace, only to become hunted by his son, who in turn is a clone of himself, and the eventual uncovering of a massive covert government ruled by a shadowy organization, only scratches the surface of the convoluted but consistently engaging narrative web that Kojima weaved over nearly 3 decades before parting ways with Konami. Throughout numerous mainline entries and spin-offs, Kojima maintained a mostly consistent narrative throughout the entirety of the Metal Gear saga that he continued to expand upon in new and unexpected ways with each new entry.
You still have your youth. Don't waste it. You can start over.
The Legend of Zelda.
Wake up, Link.
For many, many years, fans believed that each of the Legend of Zelda games were standalone games with updated storylines and gameplay, featuring a new Link and a new Princess Zelda battling a new version of Ganon, with only minor things connecting them such as the Triforce and the Kingdom of Hyrule. It wasn't until the release of the Hyrule Historia that Nintendo finally revealed the connective link between all the games, including the canonical first entry Skyward Sword, as well as that there were in fact 3 separate timelines branching from Ocarina of Time's time-bending narrative. The latest entries into the timeline, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, merge all these disparate timelines back into one, while also leaving the door open for not only future entries, but also enough room to fill in the gaps in between. Which video game series have you been playing for generations? Share your favorites down in the comments. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.